So a bit about where we are and who's who, and then we'll talk briefly about the qualification, and really aimed at master's courses, so you know a bit about what you're coming to, and you'll get more of this from your courses if you haven't already over the next few weeks. And by the way, if you've got burning questions, do come in and ask them. So this is the address. So for those of you who are in the Master's Gastroenterology, you might look at it like this. So at the top there it says Masters in Gastroenterology, and you're in the Centre for Immunobiology, which is part of the Blizzard Institute, which is part of Bartholomews London School of Medicine, which is part of Queen Mary University of London. Now, the sharp amongst you there will have noticed that actually that doesn't tell you where you are anyway, because there's no address there. If you put that address, it probably wouldn't get here anyway. And of course the typesetting's all wrong in this one, so I've turned it around this way because the most important bit is the Masters in Gastroenterology and the Masters you're doing. The factor in the Centre for Immunobiology is just, well, that's where it is, and the Blizzard Institute and so on down to Queen Mary. Now, what is Queen Mary? So when I was a medical student in London, Queen Mary actually didn't exist, or not in the form it is now. So it was basically, Queen Mary is down in Mile End, which is about I don't know, mile and a half down the road, down Whitechapel Road. Who's been there? Have you been there to enrol, many of you? Yeah, okay, so you've seen it. But that merged with another college called Westfield, which was in, I think it was in Regent's Park originally. And that was, so they were two separate colleges when I was a student here, and I know that was actually quite a long time ago now, but it didn't seem like it. And within Queen Mary, there are basically three schools or faculties. And you've got the School of Medicine and Dentistry, or SMD as it's often referred to. You've got Arts and Humanities and Science and Engineering. So the three big bits of Queen Mary. So the medical school is roughly probably 30% of the whole college. Now, Bartholomews London School of Medicine and Dentistry, again, when I was a student in London, there were 13 separate medical schools in London, all totally separate, didn't talk to each other. In fact, spent most of our time competing or fighting with each other, I think. And so St Bartholomew's Hospital in London were separate medical schools. So now, since then, there have been lots of mergers, and essentially now in London there are 6 medical schools, and one of the largest of them is Barts in London. And it was back in '95 that the medical school actually merged with Queen Mary to become part of Queen Mary, because previous to that being completely separate. And you've just seen Steve Thornton, who's the Vice Principal for Health. He's the head of the medical school. He's an obstetrician, by the way, I didn't tell you that. And these are the 3 sites. So this is where we are now. We're in the Whitechapel site. So that's one bit of the medical school. And the other main bit of the medical school is Charterhouse Square. Who's been over at Charterhouse Square? I know some are living there. So it's a delightful area in the city, the main city of London, and it's very near St Bartholomew's Hospital. So those are the 2 main sites of the medical school. And then Queen Mary, the Mile End campus, is down here, and many of you will have been down there to enrol. So the Royal London Hospital, which is where we are now, was originally founded, nearly 300 years ago nearly, and it was renamed as the London Hospital in 1748, and then only became the Royal London in 1990. So again, while I was a student, I thought of it as the London and nothing else, but it's the Royal London. And you can see here the original front building, and that's the front building when you walk across from Whitechapel Tube, which is now all boarded up. And the reason it's boarded up is because it's empty because of this hospital, which was built opened in just actually 3 years ago. I said to someone it was 5 or 6 years ago, so it seems longer than that. So this is a 1,000-bedded private finance initiative in the UK. And within that, for paediatricians like me, there's 3 floors which are separated out for the children, and it's labelled as the Children's Hospital. That's within the same template. And actually, I haven't got a picture, I'm sorry, of the dental hospital here, the nice new dental hospital, which is even newer, which is next door. So apologies to dentists here for that. So you go to St Bartholomew's Hospital, which is renowned as the oldest hospital in, I think, UK. So that's coming up, well, 900 years old, and it's just near to Charterhouse Square. Any Scots here? No one's claiming to be Scottish. No, okay. So if you go to, this is the front entrance of Barts. Now, after you go through there, there's a delightful square, and it's well worth visiting, even if you're not based over there, because it's a lovely area of London. Anyway, just off to the left here is where William Wallace, who is a famous Scottish patriot who wanted to get away from the English, was hung, drawn, and quartered. And so I always guide my Scottish friends to go there to worship at the altar of William Wallace. Now, the medical school, what's it made up of? Well, as I said, we've got two sites, the Whitechapel site and the Charterhouse Square site. So here at Whitechapel, there are actually three institutes. There's the Blizzard Institute, which is mainly the big glass building, various other bits around there. There's the Dentistry, and those of you in the Dentistry will have seen that, which is pretty much right on Whitechapel Road. And then the third one is the Health Science Education, which has up until now been primarily just for the undergraduates and the medical students, but actually is now going to be starting some postgraduate courses. Is anyone involved with those courses here? Yes, one at least, okay. So that's a new initiative. So there are three institutes here, and then over at Charterhouse Square there are three institutes. You've got the Barts Cancer, which I think you know what that's all about. The Wolfson has quite a large amount of, sort of mental health academics, plus some very big epidemiology type studies. And then the William Harvey is largely sort of immunology and inflammation and drug development. And all of them have postgraduate courses as well. Some of you will have seen Prof Hitman wandering around. He's the head of the Blizzard. Prof Curtis is the head of the Dentistry, and in fact Prof Warrens, who wasn't able to be here, is the head of the education for the medical school for everything. So he's effectively my boss in that term, and he's also the head of the IHSE. And who was Blizzard? So I had to go and look this up because I had no idea when the Blizzard got called the Blizzard. But anyway, he started the first medical school at the London, which was attached to a hospital, and so that was back in a long time ago, 1785. And that's a picture of the Blizzard. Those of you who've seen it, you just walk through past it, and these are some of the pictures of the inside. You might see this lecture theatre a bit. Those of you who aren't working, these are all the labs. And then you've got these pods here, which are where we've got seminar rooms and meeting rooms. It's quite often used for filming, so you might see it pop up on the occasional kind of detective series in the evening. They usually have murders in there with a bit of blood and stuff like that. So occasionally, so you might see it pop up in things like that. And in the Blizzard, Susan Brundish from Trauma is the postgraduate lead. George, you've met, is the boss of all the academic coordination. And then the various administrators you'll be meeting for the various programmes that we have. And I'm sure most of you already, if you haven't met them, certainly been in contact with them. And what courses do we have? Oh no, these are the sort of clinical themes. So we've got a big digestive diseases, gastroenterology, there's quite a lot of microbiology, infection. The oral health goes along with a dental school as well. We've got a lot of skin and plastic surgery. There's diabetes, paediatrics, neurology, neurogastroenterology. So these are all the sort of clinical themes. A very strong trauma group, and emergency medicine is going to be a new masters next year that will be, I'm sure, very popular. And then the primary care and public health group. And these are pretty much all the courses, I hope. Does anyone spot they're missing their course? These are actual postgraduate courses we have now in the Blizzard. So burn care, dermatology, aesthetic medicine, reconstructive, microsurgery, regenerative medicine. Now, quite a few of these courses are also distance learning. So in addition to all of you, there'll be another, probably at least as many and maybe more students who are doing the courses as distance learning, who you maybe meet at times over the year, possibly at conferences or at some study days some of the courses have. So there's lots of other students who are distance learning who aren't full-time on site. And then dentistry, Prof Curtis is the Dean of Dentistry. Professor Franti Wong is up there, is the head of the Postgraduate Committee in the Dentistry. You can put his hand up for those who haven't met him yet. And Paul Anderson is the Deputy Chair. And there's your administrators and student support team. Hopefully you've already got good contact details for them. And these are the programmes they have in orthodontics, paediatric dentistry, periodontology. You can hear me struggling here a bit. I don't know too much about dentistry. I should have got Franti to talk you through this bit. And the master's courses as well. So there's a wide range of courses going there. How many are from dentistry here? Let's have so about a quarter maybe. Okay, great. So quickly to go over a PG Dip and MSc, and in case you're not familiar with them, essentially a master's is made up of the taught course, which is usually 2/3 of the course, and then a project and dissertation, which is 1/3 of the course. So you can get a postgraduate diploma. If you don't do the project, then you would end up with a PG Dip. And so some people will register for a PG Dip and then upgrade. Most are registered for the masters up front. I strongly advise you all to be aware of academic regulations. That's what your course is run under. So the Queen Mary define a whole load of regulations about the course. And while I'm not really expecting anyone to read them, it is a reference place to go if you're not clear about something or not sure. And your first protocol is to obviously ask the course themselves. They'll explain it, and if they're not sure, they'll probably go back to those regulations. But they're out there, they're available. They should be available on QM Plus when you are looking around there. So it's a good place to find information if you're not sure about something. They're made up of 180 credits, masters, and as I said, 2/3 is the diploma, so that's 120 credits is the diploma. And most courses will have 8 modules of 15 credits each, so they're divided up into separate modules. And then you have one big module at the end, which is 60 credits, which is the project with a dissertation. Now this is just an example of the gastro one. So we have, in fact, 6 modules because we have a couple of bigger modules which are 30 credits. So this all adds up to 120, and then there's the project module in at the end. And these are just the titles of each of the modules, which will have their own different learning objectives. Our timetable looks like this. So we do it in a pretty linear way, where you've got the introduction to endoscopy, basic GI disease, liver and pancreas, and these are the different modules. And most of your course will do something similar, although some courses will be running 2 or 3 modules parallel at the same time. And again, you need to understand how your course is set up once you're embarking on it. And to pass, you've got to get more than 50%, and that's for the diploma, and merits are more than 60%, and distinctions more than 70%. And to pass the masters, you've got to obviously get over 50% for the whole year, but you've also got to pass the project and dissertation. So you can't get below the mark for a project and dissertation and make up for it with a taught course. You have to at least pass. And again, there are definitions of what a merit and what a distinction is. So the first thing to do, as you're looking at all that scary stuff, thinking of what have I embarked on now, is, do enjoy it. You'll learn a lot. You'll probably have quite a lot of fun too, and that's important. And, engage with your teachers and the course, because you'll get even more out of it if you do that. I'm now going to just mention 1 or 2 more serious matters, and it's not so much, it's just so people are aware, really. We don't want people, one of the points of induction is so that you try not to have any confusion for students later on in the year, just so things are as clear as we can make them. These are all buried in regulations somewhere, but I'm trying to simplify some of the important ones. I mean, there's the so-called fit to sit regulation, and basically you have to sit the exam when the exam comes up. Now that stands to reason, but you'd be surprised how often people get towards an exam thinking, oh, I'm feeling really tired, I haven't been able to work very hard, or I've had a bit of a cold last week, I think I'll just do it next time round, and they try to not come to the exam and then come next time round. So you do have to sit the exams. Having said that, we also understand people have things that go horribly wrong, and for that there's a thing called extenuating circumstances. So they have to be truly extenuating, that you couldn't have predicted them and they just happened, and you need to produce evidence, and the decision isn't made by the course, it's passed on to another committee who then look at it and will say, okay, that looks reasonable, or sometimes say, no, that's not reasonable, we can't accept that. So then you have an opportunity of resits, which you have to do at the next opportunity. I'm sure none of you are going to be doing that, of course, but you do have to go on to those the next time round. As I said, if you do have problems, the first thing to do is just contact your course, just let them know. You know, if you've got something that is causing an issue, just let them know. They'll do their best to help, and if they can't help, they'll pass you on to someone who can. Now, if you have something that is too personal or private, you don't want the course to know about it, then there are external parts of the college that can do that in the student support and student welfare. So they are the place to go down at Mile End, you know, if there's something you don't want the course to know about. I mentioned extenuating circumstances. There's paperwork and evidence needed for them, so we would help you, as a course, we'd help you fill them out and complete them. But it's not our decision when they do go. They have to go forward to an external committee. You're going to hear a bit more, I think, from student support, and in fact, I noticed you've all got the agenda. There are various contact details in there. There are also lots of contact details on QM Plus as well for any support, but there is loads of support there and available. It can be a bit difficult to dig it out, and people come and ask me often, say, oh, can I go and get help on this or that? And I think, well, I'm sure it's there somewhere, but if you ask me, I'm not sure where it is, so we have to go and hunt around and work out where it is. So if there are any issues you think you could do with some help with, just ask around, and if we can't find it yourself, we'll track it down for you. There's lots of references for library and things, so I'll just put that in there. These slides, I think, are going to be uploaded. Is George still here? Get uploaded onto QM Plus, so you'll be able to access all of these links. And many of them are already on QM Plus. You're going to have a session later on about using QM Plus, and hopefully she'll show you some of the kind of ways to get into the college support systems. We also have a student staff liaison committee. Now this is quite important. Everyone's going to look at this. All this is, what we're looking for are volunteers here. George, how would you like to see that? Get names as they walk out the door? It's quite a good way of doing it.
If anyone wants to express initial interest, yeah, please.
Yeah.
I'll probably do it by the programmes, by the programme ministry.
Yeah, well, all of you should have a think about it, because what we're looking for, a student staff liaison committee, is all about you being able to feedback what's going on. You know, meet with some of the academics. George tends to run the meeting, and other students, and you have a sort of conversation about any good things going on, if there are things that aren't working so well. It's really important for us, because it means that sometimes if we're picking up there's a problem early, we can help sort it out, whatever the problems are. And it might be, you know, accessing a journal, or it might be something else, and if we don't know about it and someone asks us about it at the end of the year, we can't do much. But if we hear about it early, and the Student Staff Liaison Committee is one of the key places to do that, because what we look for is have one or two representatives of each course to attend that, and then they can take the opinions of their group to that meeting, and then all the different courses. You know, sometimes they're very course specific, the good things or bad things happening. Sometimes they're very generic, in which case it's helpful to know that. So have a think. If anyone's very willing and keen, if you let George know, just tell him name and which course, and he'll be back in touch with you. And they only meet, so is it once a term, isn't it, George?
Yeah, once a term. Yeah.
So it's just it's a meeting once a term. We try and set up something similar with our distance learning students as well, who often have slightly different issues compared with the on-site students. I said this to the gastro course, you know, have a look at the dates of your course and book your flights. For those of you who've travelled a long way from overseas, flights get expensive around the time that we're not doing teaching, around Christmas time and things like that. So just plan ahead, don't leave it till the last minute, because you might save yourself a bit of money and get a flight. These are lots of contacts within the and I think most of you will have them for your individual courses, so we obviously won't go through these. But if you've got any other questions, you can email anyone on this list. So enjoy what you do, work hard, have fun. There's a Students' Union president. Is he here yet? Is Will here? He's coming later. So the party in the Students' Union at 5 o'clock. The Students' Union is for all students. It's not just undergraduates. So postgraduates are welcome in there. It's got how many have seen it? Apart from the gastro ones, I took to it this morning. Anyone seen it? So it's kind of, the trouble with the Student Union is a bit dark and it's downstairs, so it's quite good for the winter. It keeps you focused. In the summer, you think, oh, I want to get outside somewhere. So, but certainly at winter time, it's quite a good place to go, and you can get food and things there as well. He'll tell you all the other facilities they have. Lots of clubs and societies. You can look through those if you're interested. I put this list up. Oh, don't worry, I'm not going to get you to do this. I suggest some of the things you could go and find. How many people know who the Elephant Man was, or has heard of the Elephant Man? There's a few hands. Okay. I think it's because the film is so old now. No one's seen it. You know, when I was your sort of age, the Elephant Man film came out. So I said to the gastro team, I said, you know, homework for the weekend is watch the Elephant Man. Then you get a good picture of Whitechapel in the 19th century. But the skeleton of the Elephant Man is in the Royal London Museum. So if you go to the library, who's been to the library? A few of you. So if you're outside the library in that bit where you go and where the bikes go, if you turn right along that road and go right up to the end of the wall, just on the left you'll see a sign into the Royal London Museum. And so you can learn quite a lot about the Royal London Hospital and the health in this area there anyway. But I think they've also got a skeleton of, or a model of the skeleton of the Elephant Man. The medical school actually has the original skeleton, which I believe Michael Jackson tried to buy some years ago, but he was resisted. When you go to the library, I was showing the gastro students this. Have a look at the stained glass windows. So they've got modern stained glass windows which all got a medical or research theme to them. Now you can go around and try and guess what specialty or theme each of them is, because pretty much all of the ones you're involved in are covered there. And if you can't work them out, they've got a leaflet at the front desk which kind of you can go around and explains them. So of course there's a gastro one there, but it's totally focused on GI physiology. So it's nothing to do with celiac or inflammatory bowel disease. It's GI physiology. So it's quite a niche area, but they're quite interesting stained glass windows. So the nucleus. Anyone know what the nucleus is? So that's the kind of snack bar, coffee thing across from the main Blizzard building. So in the courtyard, when you walk down on the right, you would have seen it. So many people wander in there. I always mention this. The senior common room in the Garrett building in the medical school is a big room. It's the old pathology museum, essentially, with a few armchairs, which doesn't get used very much, but I've always been told is open to postgraduate students. I'm not sure it is for the undergraduate students, so I would expect you to be able to go in there, flash your card and be able to wander around. And if you can't, you can let me know and I can chase it up with the people who set the security settings. Front door of A&E. Why did I put that there? Well, I suppose you can go and see where the A&E is. You can't go and see the helicopter, unfortunately. It's a bit too difficult to get to up on the 14th floor. No, 16th floor. The centre of the cell. Again, I'll show you gastro. Does anyone know what that is? So you go into the Blizzard Institute. There's this orange sort of big orange thing in the middle of it, suspended with sort of lumpy orange. I say big. It's room size. Basically, that's an exhibition area aimed mainly at school children because it's trying to encourage and inspire children into science. So you'll see sort of armies of children being led through the courtyard into the centre of the cell to go and be inspired into research and science and academia. But they do open it up. I mean, if you have children, it's worth taking them there. I've taken mine there a couple of times. And even if you haven't, I'd go anyway, just have a look. It's quite a cool place. And perhaps most importantly, the food place. There are loads of food places around here. So Tyabs is probably one of the best known ones. You'll meet people from all over the place who know Tyabs, and that's literally 5 minutes walk, no less than that even. And it's fantastic, spicy, grilled, meaty things. And I'm sorry if you're a vegetarian, it's not really a vegetarian sort of place. I quite like Marrakesh as a little bar, so I don't get paid anything for putting this up here. It's just around the corner, and there's loads of Costas and everything else. So one of the advantages of being in one of the less well-off areas of London means the eating and the food is a bit more reasonably priced than if you were in Mayfair or in Chelsea or somewhere like that.